The car makers started back in the 80s by putting together their own proprietary networks. And then there it evolved into more industry standard networks called CAN, LIN, and most recently something called FlexRay. And what's happening is that as more data needs to be passed through the car in faster ways because features are increasing, the car makers actually have to increase the speed of the bus, and so they come up with different networks that can handle that.
We believe the cars are your home on the go, right? And basically today, everything that we need to have in the car as far as infotainment or news or access, we expect the same thing to be available to us in the car. And that requires a very stable, low-cost, reliable networks, and Ethernet technology allow car manufacturers today to have it at very low cost using the broader reach technology that we introduced. It's a very exciting time. It's very good to see that you could bring technologies that take these type of networking so simple that every whether they're luxury or mid-level or even low-entry cars, be able to provide these.
Within the car, the desire is to be able to consolidate as much functionality as you can onto really a single head unit. So today, if you looked inside of the vehicle, many of them have a countless number of what they call electronic control units, which are all required to deliver individual functions and applications. It's fairly complex to manage. The software for that, in order to be able to connect and synergize those devices with one another, is fairly complicated. So our approach is utilize one processor, potentially more than one processor, depending on how much compute you need to serve, but one processor where you could support multiple screens. You can have, 2 rear seat screens, potentially more than that if you have a very large, vehicle. You can support multiple camera devices. The direction we see the industry headed is many of the car makers are including up to 8 cameras on the vehicles. You need to be able to process the information that's coming off of those cameras. Similarly, if you are connected to a network, which is where we believe this is going, we see it happening already. If you're connecting into a network, just like when you're in a PC environment, you need the ability to be able to securely process that information and securely manage that information. So there's a lot happening in the background that you may not even see that the compute capability needs to be able to support.
As we know, one of the critical elements today in the world and the car manufacturers go toward greener planets, and less consumption, fuel consumption, has direct correlation to the weight of the vehicles. Our broader reach technology, because of the simple type of cabling that we could use, we have done studies that shows as much as 30% less weight compared to the alternative, for example, LVDS technology. So that's a key element. So the less weight in the car you have, the less fuel consumptions, and as such, it will allow you to have a greener planet.
Power is absolutely a consideration in the car. The reason for that is while they don't have some of the issues as a portable device does in terms of footprint and space to cool, they still have constraints around the amount of airflow that could fit if it's embedded behind a dash. Most importantly, it's about power efficiency for reasons of fuel consumption. So whether it's an electric vehicle, which is battery driven, or a fuel vehicle, which is gas or diesel driven, consuming whatever that energy is still something that the automakers really focus on minimizing. So that means low power chips are crucial.
Concept of security is nothing new in the Ethernet world, right? Today, as you know, Ethernet has been deployed primarily into enterprises and data centers, and these are the areas that security is very important. So the Ethernet technology, when it goes to higher layers, it has all the hooks to enable security. So basically, car manufacturers can leverage the same thing as far as authentication and security features like the data centers and enterprises use today. So from that perspective, it's just the same old Ethernet technology with all of the hooks that has been developed for a lot of applications that security was number one there. So this technology, the car manufacturers and tier ones should be able to leverage those, able to have enough authentication and security in place that nobody can hack into the systems.
The software that's required in automotive is quite unique to automotive. What they would like to see happen is they want to be able to marry sort of the full-featured nature of an operating system so they can get a rich application set and reuse things that are coming out of a consumer-like device, but they also have constraints that are very unique to them. Constraints around fast boot, for example, is very important. Often the in-vehicle infotainment system is sharing the display with a camera that's mounted for purpose of rear view. That means that device has to come up instantaneously the second you turn the key. That's a unique constraint. The amount of memory footprint that's required is also a fairly unique constraint within the vehicle.